Have you ever looked around and wondered why some rise effortlessly while others, just as capable, fade into the background? It isn't luck. It's the unspoken game few ever admit exists. The world doesn't reward innocence, it rewards awareness. Beneath every smile, there are rules, silent and ruthless. Once you see them, you can't go back. Stay. Let's uncover what they never told you. As we step into the first law, imagine a flame that burns too brightly, constant, visible, consuming everything around it. At first, it draws attention, but over time, people stop noticing the light. They forget its warmth, because what is always seen becomes background. What is always available loses its edge. The Stoics understood this truth long before the world was consumed by noise. They knew that absence, when used with wisdom, is not weakness, it's power. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Withdraw into yourself. The inner region is calm. In that retreat lies strength. In that silence, presence grows." The world doesn't chase what it already holds. It chases what feels just out of reach. The more you stand before people, explaining, posting, performing, the more ordinary you become. But when you step back, even for a moment, something changes. Curiosity takes root. Imagination begins to work on your behalf. You stop being seen and start being missed. Think of the diamond buried in the earth. Its value isn't in what it does, it's in how rare it is to find. The Stoics practiced detachment, not to vanish from life, but to master presence itself. They understood that true influence is built in deliberate distance, not in constant display. The powerful don't announce their worth. They let the silence between appearances speak louder than words ever could. There was once a leader who disappeared at the height of his fame. The world speculated, questioned, even doubted. Yet when he returned, stronger, wiser, refined, his absence had made him a myth. People saw him differently. His voice carried more weight, not because it grew louder, but because it returned from silence. Your distance is not disappearance, it's design. When you withdraw, withdraw with purpose. Let your absence create space for value to grow, and when you return, do not come back unchanged. Return elevated, transformed, unshakable. If you master this law, you'll never have to demand attention again. It will find you. So step back. Let the world wonder, because in your absence, your power begins. Moving into the second law, imagine a quiet room where secrets are exchanged, laughter shared, and promises whispered like oaths. In that room lies both connection and danger, because trust, though beautiful, is the sharpest blade in the hands of those who know how to use it. The Stoics warned us, not all who smile are safe. Seneca wrote, "A sword never kills anybody. It is a tool in the killer's hand." So too is trust. It is neither good nor evil. It depends on who wields it. Here's where most falter. They mistake closeness for loyalty. They think shared laughter equals shared values. But time reveals what emotion hides. Those who stand closest to you are not always your strength. Sometimes they're your greatest weakness. A friend who knows your every secret holds the map to your undoing. History repeats this lesson endlessly. The most cunning minds rose to power not through force, but through trust. They became mirrors, reflecting the hopes, fears, and egos of others until they were welcomed into their confidence. Once inside, they no longer needed swords. They had access. And access is the highest form of power. Think of the Stoic strategist, not cruel, but observant. He listens more than he speaks. He studies patterns, words, tones. He does not rush to trust, nor does he reject it. He understands that trust is not protection, it's exposure. The moment you hand someone your truth, you give them the means to shape it. There's a story of a philosopher who kept his plans hidden even from his closest allies. Not out of paranoia, but clarity. He knew that the more others know your steps, the easier it is for them to trip you. His restraint wasn't coldness, it was wisdom. In this world, information is control. And those who master trust don't guard it, they guide it. They know when to open the gate and when to close it. So speak less, observe more. Let others reveal themselves before you hand them access to your fortress, because in the grand game of power, trust is both the weapon and the battlefield. And the one who understands this truth doesn't just survive, he wins quietly. Advancing to the third law, picture this. You knock on every door with good intentions, but none open. You give your best, stay loyal, stay kind, and still the world looks past you. It's not cruelty, it's design. People don't move because you deserve it. They move because it serves them. Harsh truth, but liberating once you see it. Seneca once said, "Don't expect the world to be fair, for it never was." The Stoics understood this deeply. They didn't waste time hoping others would act from virtue. They learned to align with what drives human nature. Every action, every alliance, every gesture of goodwill in this world runs on one current, self-interest. When you understand that, you stop pleading, you start positioning. Think of a general who wins not by begging for loyalty, but by offering purpose. Or a leader who gains followers not through emotion, but through vision. Even in Rome, power belonged to those who awakened ambition in others. They didn't say, "Help me." They said, "Here's how you win by walking beside me," and the world followed. Influence isn't manipulation, it's mastery of understanding. When you create value, people don't have to be convinced. They align because it makes sense. The Stoic doesn't wait for kindness to be repaid. He moves through the world aware of what moves others. So stop expecting mercy. Start building alignment. Because when others see their victory in your rise, you'll never need to ask twice. Entering the fourth law, picture a smile that feels warm, disarming and safe. Yet behind it, a blade gleams quietly in the dark. That's the paradox of kindness. The most powerful form of control rarely looks like control at all. It comes dressed as generosity. As Seneca once wrote, "A gift corruptly given is not generosity, but trade." The wise understand this. Not every kind gesture is pure, and not every calm face means peace. Now imagine someone who wins hearts not by threat, but by grace. He listens, he gives, he comforts, and while others relax, he learns everything he needs to know. By the time they realize, their walls are already gone. History has shown it countless times. Cities, kings, even entire empires fell not because they were outmatched, but because they were outcharmed. The conqueror's secret was never his sword, it was his patience. The Stoics warn us to observe, not assume. What appears noble can be strategy in disguise. What seems sincere may simply be precise calculation. True wisdom is not in rejecting kindness, but in discerning it. Offer goodwill, yes, but not your guard. Give lightly, never completely. Because in a world built on perception, sincerity itself becomes a mask. Real power hides behind calm eyes and gentle words. So move with grace, but never sleep in comfort. The hand that offers warmth may one day hold the blade. At this stage, imagine a fortress held together by one unseen pillar. The walls stand tall, banners fly proudly, and everyone feels secure. until that single pillar is gone. Then everything collapses. That pillar is you when you become indispensable. The Stoics understood this truth well. Value isn't in being loved, it's in being needed. Seneca once said, "A great mind becomes its own necessity." In every system, family, friendship, empire, need binds more tightly than affection. Now picture a wise king asking his advisor, "Who holds the greatest power in this land?" The advisor doesn't name the soldiers, the nobles, or even the crown. He simply smiles and says, "The one whose absence brings everything to a halt." That man may not sit on the throne, yet his silence shapes the kingdom. His power lies not in display, but in design. In ancient Rome, one minister mastered this. He never revealed all he knew. He gave just enough to stay essential, always the missing piece no one else could replace. When arrogance made the ruler dismiss him, chaos followed. Only then did they realize removing him was like tearing out the spine of the state. So ask yourself, if you vanish tomorrow, would the structure still stand? In a world that forgets the generous and replaces the useful, make your absence feel like collapse. Don't chase admiration. Build necessity, quietly, relentlessly. That's how true influence endures. Moving into the sixth law, imagine standing in a garden you've tended for years. Strong roots, rich soil, blooming life. But slowly, the air changes. The weeds start to creep in, not suddenly, but quietly. Their presence doesn't destroy you overnight. It drains you, leaf by leaf, until one day, the garden you built no longer feels like your own. That's what happens when you let unstable souls take root in your life. The Stoics warned us, protect your inner fortress. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, and thoughts are shaped by the company we keep." Some people carry storms within them. Their chaos spills into your calm. Their despair infects your discipline. Their noise drowns your clarity. You don't notice it at first, but over time your focus blurs, your peace fades, and you start fighting battles that aren't even yours. I once knew a man with a mind like a blade, sharp, steady, unbreakable, yet everything around him fell apart. His work, his finances, his trust. He couldn't see the pattern until he did. Every downfall traced back to the same circle. Complainers, victims, dreamers of comfort, not builders of strength. The day he cut them loose, his life shifted. Within months, his peace returned. His focus became fire again. Remember this, not everyone deserves access to your energy. Kindness is noble, but mercy without measure is self-destruction. You cannot heal those who choose the wound. Protect your circle. Guard your calm. Because your energy is your empire, and one wrong alliance can bring the walls down. Advancing to the seventh law, imagine standing in the middle of a storm, lightning, thunder, chaos all around, yet you refuse to shout back at the sky. You stand still. You let the noise pass. That silence, that restraint, is where real power begins. Because in a world addicted to noise, calm is rebellion. The Stoics knew this. Epictetus said, "Be silent for the most part, or speak only what is necessary." It's not weakness, it's precision. There will always be those who try to pull you into their chaos. They'll provoke you, twist your words, bait you into battles that only leave you drained. Don't give them the satisfaction. A fool wins by exhausting your peace. When you argue with noise, you become noise. When you answer with action, you become undeniable. I once knew a craftsman who never defended his work. He didn't argue when others mocked his pace or doubted his methods. He simply kept building. Years later, the same people who dismissed him were paying to learn his craft. He never explained himself. He didn't have to. His results spoke louder than their words ever could. Every second you spend defending yourself is a second stolen from creation. Every reaction, a step away from purpose. The wise don't beg to be understood. They become impossible to ignore. So don't react, rise. Don't argue, act. Don't explain, excel. Let the talkers talk while you build your legacy in silence, because in the end, words fade, but results echo. Entering the 8th law, picture this. 2 figures moving through a crowded room. One chases every glance, every opportunity, reaching, grasping, pleading for attention. The other stands still, silent, grounded, yet the room bends toward him. Eyes find him without effort. That's the difference between movement and mastery. The Stoics called it alignment with nature, control within, calm without. Because when you chase, you announce need. But when you hold still, you announce value. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be like the rock against which the waves break, and it stands firm." True influence works the same way. You don't need to chase waves. You become the shore they crash upon. Power, in its purest form, is gravitational. It pulls. It doesn't pursue. I once watched a merchant in a small market who never shouted his offers. Others yelled, begged, undercut, but he stood quietly behind his table. His goods were clean, his presence steady. And people came to him. Not out of pity, but out of trust. He didn't compete. He created gravity. The Stoic learns patience as a weapon. He knows the one who waits with purpose holds the advantage over the one who runs with desperation. Because motion without direction is noise, and noise never commands respect. So stop chasing. Build your center. Let your silence become gravity. In time, what is meant for you will move toward you, not because you begged for it, but because you became impossible to ignore. From here, imagine a stage where countless hands build the masterpiece, but only one name is remembered. That's the cruel beauty of power. It doesn't reward effort. It rewards perception. The Stoics warned us not to mistake virtue for visibility. Marcus Aurelius said you have power over your mind, not outside events. Yet in the world beyond the inner fortress, perception is the event. Those who shape it shape legacy. There was once a craftsman who built wonders for kings, temples, and armies. His hands shaped greatness, but his name was forgotten. The architects who stood behind the design, the ones who planned, delegated, and claimed the vision, were remembered for centuries. That's when the truth settles in. The world remembers the architect, not the worker. The strategist, not the soldier. Power isn't about doing everything yourself. It's about leading the orchestra so every sound, every effort builds toward your vision. The Stoic doesn't boast, but he doesn't hide either. False humility can be its own form of fear. To lead is to claim responsibility, not just credit. It's to hold the vision steady when others lose focus. So ask yourself this: are you shaping your own name or building monuments for someone else's glory? The world forgets the unseen, but it immortalizes the one who directs the light. Build quietly, but when the moment comes, step forward and own the outcome. Because effort fades, vision endures. At this stage, imagine a vast hall filled with voices, thousands speaking, shouting, debating, each desperate to be heard. And yet, amid all that noise, one man enters silently, and every head turns. That's the difference between those who chase attention and those who command it. The Stoics understood this deeply. They taught that substance must come before spectacle, but they never denied the truth. What the world cannot see, it forgets. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In a world that moves too fast to listen, being one isn't enough. You must embody it so clearly that even silence becomes a statement. Visibility, when earned through truth, is not vanity. It's survival. You can possess wisdom, talent, mastery, but if the world cannot feel your presence, it will bury your name under its endless noise. Think of the great minds who left marks on history. They weren't always loved. Many were feared, questioned, even despised, but never ignored. The Stoic doesn't seek applause, he seeks impact. To be remembered, you must embody something unshakable: conviction, discipline, authenticity, something that makes others feel, even when they don't agree. Because emotion, once stirred, keeps your memory alive. Indifference kills faster than hate. There was once a philosopher who lived quietly, teaching a few loyal students. For years, his wisdom echoed only within the walls of his small garden. But one day, a single idea he wrote spread beyond his lifetime, words that survived empires. Why? Because truth spoken with clarity has gravity. It doesn't need to shout, it pulls the world in. You don't have to scream to be seen. You have to become something worth seeing. Command attention not with desperation, but with depth. Control perception not through performance, but through presence. The crowd forgets the ordinary. They always have. So ask yourself, will you drift quietly through this life, or will you leave a mark that forces the world to remember? Because in the grand game of power, silence isn't peace, it's disappearance. Stand tall, be so real, so unwavering that they can't ignore you even if they try. Advancing to the 11th law, imagine the silence that follows a fall, the kind that echoes louder than any applause once did. The world looks away, whispers your name like a cautionary tale, waiting to see if you'll rise or vanish. That's the crossroad. The Stoics called it the moment of the forge, when life's fire doesn't just burn you, it refines you. Seneca wrote, "Fire is the test of gold, adversity of strong men. What breaks others shapes the wise." Here's where your comeback begins, not in noise, not in desperation, but in transformation. When life strikes, don't just get up. Rise in a way that shakes the ground beneath those who doubted you. Rise so completely that your very presence rewrites the story they told about you. The world doesn't remember quiet recoveries. It remembers the storm that followed. There once was a man who was humiliated in front of his peers. He didn't defend himself. He didn't explain. Instead, he disappeared. Months of silence, rebuilding, recalibrating, working in the shadows. And when he returned, he had turned every insult into a foundation stone. The same voices that mocked him now spoke his name with respect. His rise wasn't revenge, it was rebirth. The Stoics never chased approval, but they understood perception. Your image is the armor the world first encounters. You don't need to be cruel to command respect, but you must be formidable. In this world, people respond not to your intentions, but to your projection. Either you command the room, or you are consumed by it. So when you fall, and you will, refuse to shrink, refuse to explain. Let your silence build your strength. Let your return burn away every doubt. Because you can be remembered as the one who broke, or as the one who made the earth tremble when he stood again. Pain is temporary, perception lasts. In the Stoic way, your fall isn't failure, it's preparation. So rise, not to prove them wrong, but to prove to yourself that nothing can touch the man who has mastered his own rebuilding. Entering the 12th law, imagine a blade gleaming in your hand, precise, powerful, capable of both creation and destruction. That blade is your tongue. The Stoics knew it well. Words are not air, they are weapons. Once released, they cannot be recalled. Marcus Aurelius warned, "The more we value the opinion of others, the less control we have over our own mind. And nothing exposes that loss of control faster than careless speech." Now picture this. A man sits at a table surrounded by noise. Everyone talks, everyone shares, everyone seeks to be understood. But he stays silent, calm, observing. The longer he says nothing, the more the room bends toward him. Curiosity replaces chatter. The wise man does not speak to prove. He speaks to shift the air. Because when everyone talks, silence becomes power. In a world obsessed with expression, mystery is rebellion. The more you reveal, the easier you are to predict. Every emotion you confess, every plan you explain, every opinion you defend, each one gives someone a piece of your map, and when they know your path, they can block your steps. The Stoic doesn't hide out of fear, he guards out of discipline. His words are arrows, released rarely but never wasted. There's a story of a Roman general whose silence made emperors nervous. He spoke little, revealed nothing, and yet his name carried weight across empires. Why? Because silence magnifies presence. The world remembers the one it cannot read. If you've ever walked away from a conversation wishing you'd said less, that was your lesson. Every unnecessary word is a door opened to your inner walls. Close it. Let others wonder. Let them guess. Because the moment they can predict you, they can control you. Speak only when your words sharpen your position. Until then, let silence build your legend. The quiet man is never underestimated, because no one knows where his next strike will land. In a world drowning in noise, silence isn't emptiness, it's command. Advancing to the 13th law, imagine walking through a crowded marketplace where every eye studies your every move. You take one step forward and 10 minds start guessing your destination. You speak one word and 20 tongues begin to twist its meaning. That's the trap of visibility. Once the world can read you, it can control you. The Stoics understood this long before strategy had a name. They knew that wisdom is not in constant action, but in restraint. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The closer a man comes to wisdom, the less he talks. And in the game of power, silence isn't emptiness, it's armor." Here's where many fall. They reveal too much. Their dreams, their plans, their next move. They believe transparency earns trust, but in truth, it hands over their advantage. Once people know what you're after, they can block you, manipulate you, or quietly dismantle everything you've built. The predictable are easily defeated, the mysterious never. I once watched a leader who mastered this law completely. He never argued, never explained. While others rushed to announce their visions, he let them speak. He stayed silent, listening, studying, waiting. When the time came to act, his decisions struck like lightning. No warning, no debate, only results. Those who underestimated him called it luck. But luck is simply preparation, hiding behind patience. The Stoics called this mastery of the unseen, the discipline of concealing your inner workings until the outcome is irreversible. When your intentions are buried, your actions carry double the weight, because no one can defend against what they cannot predict. Reveal only what strengthens your position. Let curiosity serve you. Let misdirection protect you. Mystery is not deception, it's wisdom in disguise. It keeps others guessing while you move with clarity. Once your path becomes visible, your freedom shrinks. Once your goals are spoken aloud, they become targets. So move quietly. Build in silence, and when the moment comes, let your work roar louder than your words ever could. Power belongs to the one who hides the road but reveals the summit, because the unseen path, when walked with discipline, always leads to the loudest victory. Entering the 14th law, imagine standing at the center of a battlefield where the faces around you are unclear, some smiling, some silent, some sharpening knives behind their backs. This is the true nature of power. You think you know who stands beside you until the wind shifts. The Stoics understood this well. They never divided people into friends and enemies. They saw human nature for what it is, driven by interest, shaped by need, and changed by opportunity. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When another blames you, or hates you, or people voice similar criticisms, go to their souls, penetrate inside, and see what sort of people they are. In that reflection lies your advantage. When you see clearly, you stop reacting and start positioning." In the game of power, trust is never given freely. It's a calculation, and sometimes those who smile in your presence pose more danger than those who challenge you openly. Over time, friends begin to feel entitled to your rise. They expect rewards, recognition, maybe even a share of your victories. Comfort blinds them, envy poisons them. But an enemy has no illusions. Their intent is clear, their motives honest in their hostility, and because of that, they can be studied, redirected, even turned. The Stoic doesn't waste strength on hatred. He studies the energy that opposes him and bends it back toward his purpose. History has proven this law again and again. The greatest leaders were not those who destroyed every rival, but those who understood the value of control over conquest. When a former enemy joins your cause, their loyalty is often deeper than that of a complacent friend. Why? Because they chose it. It was earned, not inherited. A reformed rival is a sharper weapon than any ally born of comfort. Napoleon fell not by his enemy's hands, but by betrayal from those closest to him. Caesar met his end under the blade of a friend he trusted more than the army that protected him. The lesson is not cynicism, it's clarity. A Stoic sees without emotion, acts without resentment. He knows that to rise, he must master relationships, not be ruled by them. So when you meet opposition, don't rush to destroy it. Study it, redirect it. Let tension become fuel, not friction. Influence belongs to the one who turns conflict into cooperation, who transforms resistance into resource. Because true power doesn't divide, it absorbs. And the man who can turn enemies into allies never truly stands alone. Imagine a tide that never retreats, constant, crashing, swallowing the very shore it once shaped. The candle shines beautifully, but if its light grows too strong, the fire consumes it. That is the nature of power. Brilliance is admired only until it becomes threatening. The moment your light outshines the fire that feeds you, you become a danger to those who once welcomed your glow. The Stoics understood this well. They knew that mastery begins not in conquering others, but in mastering yourself, your ego, your timing, your restraint. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Power is emotional, not logical. It is held together by the fragile thread of pride, and pride resents anything that makes it feel small. Many people think their downfall will come from failure. It doesn't. It comes from success handled without discipline. When you rise too quickly, when your brilliance shines without awareness of whose shadow it casts, you provoke the insecurities of those above you. And in a world built on hierarchy, that's enough to end you. History is filled with cautionary echoes. Galileo, who dared to show the truth of the stars, was not punished for ignorance, but for illumination. Copernicus, who placed the sun at the center, shook the pride of those who needed to be the center themselves. Their minds were revolutionary, but their timing fatal. The Stoics would have understood their tragedy perfectly. Seneca warned, "The fiercest conflict is with our own passions." Before facing any emperor, one must first conquer the desire to prove, to be seen, to be right. Imagine ancient Rome. A young commander enters the council of generals. His strategies are brilliant, his voice steady, his ideas groundbreaking. He captures every mind in the room except one, the emperor's. By nightfall, he is dismissed, his brilliance labeled insolence. His mistake wasn't intelligence, it was visibility. He didn't understand that to lead in the presence of power, one must first appear harmless. The Stoic would have smiled in that room, let others feel superior, and guided them quietly to his vision. Influence doesn't require the spotlight, it requires precision. This law is not about submission, it's about survival through wisdom. True power moves like water, it adapts to its container, flows around obstacles, and wears down mountains through patience. The one who controls his ego can bend without breaking. He can let others bask in their illusion of dominance while steering them gently toward his design. In every room, in every hierarchy, remember this: ego is the invisible empire. To challenge it directly is to invite ruin. The wise man hides his depth, his insight, his reach. He doesn't seek applause, he seeks longevity. He lets others believe they are the source of his success, while quietly building a world that belongs to him. So, master yourself first, your pride, your impatience, your hunger for recognition. When you learn to rule your own mind, no power can truly rule you. Because the Stoic knows this truth. The greatest influence often belongs not to the one who shines the brightest, but to the one who chooses when. True intelligence does not need to be seen. It waits, observes, and moves with perfect timing. You do not need to impress anyone above you. You need to understand them, protect their pride, and protect your peace. Power is not always in shining. Sometimes it is in stillness. The Stoics taught that restraint is strength disguised as patience. To rise too soon invites threat. To rise too late invites obscurity. But when you rise at the right moment, you become untouchable. Calm is not weakness. It is command. Every silence before action, every pause before reaction, builds unshakable control. When your moment comes, rise not in another's shadow, but beyond their reach. Rise because you have mastered yourself first. If this message speaks to you, take a moment to subscribe and stay on this path of quiet power. In the comments, write "Stay aware" as your reminder that real dominance begins within. The next reflection awaits, where awareness turns silence into strength. Stay centered. Your rise has already begun.